So again, this is Teacher Teresa. Another week, another topic. So last time we already finished with Unit 1 and 2. So back then we discussed about holidays or special holidays around the world, like festivals, birthdays around the world, and some cities like Venice and Iceland. Okay, so we already encountered those. So this time, let's move on to Unit 3. So in Unit 3, it's all about ways to health. Okay, so here we will encounter some, importance of some things in the human body. So in this picture, you can see two children who are laughing because laughing has a big impact in our health. It's good to always happy and laugh because it really gives big health or big impact to our health. Okay, now let's move on to this one. Okay, so before we start our reading passage today, we're going to have a pre-reading question. So after reading the passage, we will able to answer these questions. So there are three questions. The first one is, how much sleep do people need? Okay, how much sleep do people need? Okay, next, number two, do many people have problems falling asleep? And number three, what do you do when you can't sleep? Okay, so those are three questions that we need to answer after reading the passage. So let's move on. So before we start reading the passage, let's have a short vocabulary activity here. So there are eight phrases or 8 words here that's very important in the passage. Okay, so what are we going to do is we need to match them with letters A to H. Okay, if you're ready, please let's answer it together. Okay, so the first letter or the first word is let's say. Okay, let's say. So, what do you think is the answer for let's say? Okay, so the first one is letter E. So if your answer is letter E, imagine, for example, you are correct. Now, number two, example for let's say, let's say that you sleep around 10 to 5 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. But tomorrow you will be okay, or your body is fit in attending the online class. Okay, next, number two, normal. Okay, normal is, if your answer is letter G, you are correct. Usual or ordinary. Example, nowadays it's normal to wear a mask every time you go out from your house. Okay, or it's normal to have online classes since we are on lockdown. Okay, next, number three, an average. Okay, an average. If your answer is letter D, what you get when you add three numbers and divide the total by 3. Example, your score in the math exam is 10, and English 10 and science 10. If you add them and if you will going to divide them into 3, your average is 10. Okay, I hope you understand that one. Okay, next, number 4, a teenager. A teenager. So if your answer is letter F, you are correct. A person between 13 and 19 years old. So for you guys, since usually M.4 is between ages 16 to 17, you're considered as teenager. Okay, next, number 4, an adult. So if your answer is letter B, you are correct. A person who is 20 or 21 years old or older. Example, your teachers. Okay, all of your teachers are already adult. Okay, next, number 6, to fall asleep. So if your answer is letter H or letter A rather, you are correct. Begin to sleep. Number 7. Okay, let's move on to number 7, awake. So if your answer is letter H, you are correct, not asleep. And the last one is an inventor. So the answer for that is letter C. A person who is first to get an idea for something. Okay, example, name of an inventor, Florence Birdseye. He was the one who invented the refrigerator or the freezer nowadays. So the one who makes the first who makes something, that is what we call inventor. Okay, so let's move on and translate those words in Thai. Okay, so far we already encountered 8 vocabulary words or phrases in the previous slide. So this time we're going to translate them in Thai language for you to understand them better. Okay, so let's start with let's say. So let's say is this is the meaning in Thai. Everybody take note of these vocabulary words, students, and the meaning and their meaning in Thai, because it will really help you a lot. Okay, next, number 2, normal. Normal is this one is the meaning in Thai. Next, average. This is the meaning in Thai. Next, teenager. So this is the meaning in Thai. Okay, everybody, please take note of these words and their Thai translation. Okay, now let's move on to the next slide. So another set of vocabulary words. Adult. Okay, this is the meaning in Thai. Fall asleep. This is the meaning in Thai. Next, awake. This is the meaning in Thai. And the last one is inventor. This is the meaning in Thai. Okay. So again, please take note of these words and their Thai translation, because vocabulary skills or building your vocabulary skills will really help you a lot. Okay. Next. Now we are already in the passage reading. So this passage is entitled "Go to Sleep." So, for us to know what is the importance of sleep in human body, let's read along with this recording. Okay, so you can read along. I'll just point the words for you to follow the recording. So if you're ready, you can listen and read.
Unit 3, Ways to Health. Reading 1, Go to Sleep.
Sleep is very important. Did you know that sleep is more important than food? A person who does not sleep dies at a younger age than a person who does not eat. Let's say you go to sleep 12 hours later than you usually do. It will take your body about 3 weeks to return to normal. We spend about 1/3 of our lives in sleep. That's about 121 days a year.
All right. So I hope you read along and listen to the recording. So in this paragraph, you will be able to understand or to know how sleep is important in human body. Okay. So it says here it's better to sleep than eat food, because a person who does not sleep dies a younger age than a person who does not the person who does not sleep dies a younger age than a person who does not eat. Okay, so imagine if you keep on, awake every night. There's tendency that you can die at a younger age because of that. So please, let's change our habit and let's sleep at least 12 hours or 7 to 8 hours a night or per day. Now we spend 1/3. Okay, take note, we spend 1/3 of our lives in sleep. Now let's move on to paragraph 3, 4, and 5. You can read along with the recording.
How much sleep do we need? We are all different. A baby needs 16 hours of sleep every day. Children 6 to 12 years old need an average of 10 to 12 hours of sleep. A teenager needs 9 to 10 hours of sleep. An adult needs an average of 7 to 8 hours a night. There are some people who need only 3 hours of sleep. Others need 10 hours of sleep. After the age of 50, the average sleep time goes down to 6.5 hours a night. We need less sleep as we get older. Most people have some nights when they cannot sleep. About 1 in 3 Americans has a problem with sleep. Many of these people cannot fall asleep or stay asleep. The name of this problem is insomnia. The word insomnia means no sleep. Some people say, "I didn't sleep all night." They may sleep lightly and wake up several times. In the morning, they only remember the times they were awake, so they think they were awake all night. This is not a new problem. Many famous people in history had insomnia. Some of these people had special ideas to make them sleep. Benjamin Franklin, the famous statesman and inventor, had 4 beds. He moved from one to the other to fall asleep. King Louis XIV of France had 413 beds and hoped to fall asleep in one of them. Mark Twain, the famous American writer, had a different way. He lay on his side across the end of the bed.
All right, so I hope you read along and listen to the recording. So, in this paragraph, you will be able to know how much sleep do we need based on our age. Okay, so for a baby, they need 16 hours of sleep. Imagine that's an important sleep is very important in the human body. So if you are a baby, or if you have baby brother, baby cousin, they need to have at least 16 hours of sleep per day. Okay, so let's move on to children. Children ages 6 to 12 years old need at least or an average of 10 to 12 hours of sleep. Okay, 6 to 12 years old, 10 to 12 hours of sleep. Now, let's move on to teenager. So, teenager like you guys needs 9 to 10 hours of sleep per night, okay, or every day. So, if you now have at least 8 or 7 hours of sleep, you need to change a little bit, okay? Because you need at least 9 to 10 hours of sleep. Now, for an adult like me and your teachers, we need to have an average of 7 to 8 hours per night, okay? Or 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. Okay, so there are some people who need only 3 hours. For me, personally, I can also live, or I can also survive a day, even I only have 3 hours of sleep, okay? And others need 10 hours of sleep. So there are also other people who cannot survive the day if they only have 3 hours. They need at least 10 hours of sleep. Now, after the age of 50, the average sleep time goes down to 6.5 hours a night. So we need less sleep as we get older. So there is a problem, or there is a term in problem about having hard time in falling asleep. So that is what we call insomnia. Okay, take note. The problem in going to sleep is what we call insomnia. So the insomnia means no sleep. So some people, they say I didn't sleep at night because they are having hard time in going to sleep or fall asleep. Now, insomnia is not a new problem. So many people in the history had insomnia. So one of them is Benjamin Franklin. Do you know him? So Benjamin Franklin is the famous statesman and inventor. So for him to overcome his insomnia, he had 4 beds. Okay, so what he's going to do is he moved from one bed to another for him to fall asleep. Imagine, for him to go to sleep, he needs 4 beds. Okay, to do that. Now, let's move on to King Louis XIV of France. So King Louis the 14th of France had 413 beds. So Benjamin Franklin had only 4 beds, while he has 413 beds. And the same with Benjamin Franklin, he moved one bed to another just to fall asleep. Okay? And the last person here is Mark Twain. So Mark Twain is a famous American writer. So he also had a different way on how to fall asleep. So what he's going to do is he lay on his side across the end of the bed. Imagine you just need to you don't need to, it's very hard for him to fall asleep because it's very hard for them to fall asleep because they have what we call insomnia, and there are some ways on how they can overcome them. Okay, now let's move on to this one. So, since you read along and you're able to understand the passage, I know you can answer this reading comprehension questions. Okay, so please answer this question. We only have 3 questions here. So the first one is, how many hours of sleep do people of different ages need? So example for that one, adults need 7 to 8 hours of sleep a day, or teenagers need 9 to 10 hours of sleep per day, something like that. Okay, number 2. What is the name of the problem of people who cannot sleep? So what is the term then? The term is insomnia, okay? Or the word is insomnia. Insomnia is the problem of people or problem of people for having sleep or cannot sleep. Next, number 3. Sorry. Who are the 2 famous Americans who had problem with sleep? So the 2 famous Americans are Benjamin Franklin and Mark Twain, who had a problem with sleep. We cannot consider, or we cannot consider King Louis the 14th here because it's just asking Americans. And King Louis the 14th is not American, he is a French. Okay, now let's move on to this one. Okay, so you're going to write or answer true or false. Write C if the answer is true and false if it is false. Okay, so you're going to analyze each sentences, and you need to answer, or you just need to write C or F in the blank. Okay, now let's start with number 1. Some people need only 3 hours of sleep a night. Okay, so if your answer is true, you are correct. Next, number 2. After age 50, the average sleep time is 6.5 hours a night. So if your answer is true, you are correct. Next, number 3. 1 in 4 Americans has a problem with sleep. Is it 1 in 4? Let's find out. So the answer for that is false. Okay, it should be 1 in 3 Americans, not 4. Okay, now let's move on to number 4. We spend about a quarter of our lives in sleep. So when you say quarter, it is 1/4. Okay, 1/4. So if your answer is false, you are correct. It should be 1/3. 1/3. Okay, 1/3. That is 1/3. Next, number 5. Benjamin Franklin had 4 beds. Is it true or false? So if your answer is true, you are correct. Next, Mark Twain was a famous inventor. So if your answer is false, you are correct. He is a famous writer, not inventor. Okay? Now, please take note of this and let's move on to this one. Okay. Okay, so here you're going to answer. Okay, you need to answer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this time we're going to apply the vocabulary words in sentence. So we need to complete the sentence by choosing the words here. Okay, one word here. So since you already knew what is it, you just need to take a picture. Okay, take a picture of your work. This will be your homework. It's supposedly this is your homework. And unfortunately, the the PowerPoint presentation has a little bit technical problem. So this will be your homework for this passage reading. All you need to do is you need to take a photo of this, and if you are done or if you are finished, you send it to our line group. Okay, so let's end here for today, students, and I hope you understand, and you're able to understand the passage, and the importance of sleep in our body. Okay, so again, this is teacher Teresa. Please keep safe and healthy, everyone, and let's meet each other next week. Bye for now.